Hi everybody. Sorry I've not done a video for a couple of days. It's been a pretty boring weekend. I've not had much new to report on, and I'd rather do a video where I can actually talk about something rather than just rambling and stuff like that. Some big news though. I had a CPA meeting yesterday, which is the meeting you have after you've been here for 2 weeks, and all your care team are there, your doctors, your nurses, dietitians, psychologists, my dad and Woody came as well, which was really good. And it's basically where you decide your recovery plan. I think I've mentioned in the past there's two options. You can either do risk reduction or full recovery. Now, risk reduction, although I considered it, I didn't think was ever really a valid option for me, because I think the clue's in the name. Reducing the risk of getting this again isn't enough. I would rather do what I can, to try and get rid of this. Although there's no guarantee with full recovery, your chances are significantly increased because it's a much longer, much more intense program. It's much harder to do. And I'd kind of said in a few sort of one-to-ones in the past couple of weeks that I had been leaning towards full recovery, and I'd like to do it if I was allowed, because I'll stress that not everyone is allowed. For example, a few of the older ladies here aren't doing full recovery because for them, as sad as it seems, it's almost too late for them. It's much better that they reduce the risk, get physically better, and just cope and try and cope with the illness now as best they can. And some people aren't accepted because it's just not believed that their heart's in it to change, or they're not considered just as ready to change. So it's really good that I've actually been accepted, because I suppose it shows that, they see my focus and motivation to want to get well again, because it's a lot different this time around. I'm getting married and stuff, and, definitely have a lot more reason to get well, essentially. So I've been accepted onto that. However, the thing is, I didn't really quite realise how long I'd be here for once I'd chosen that programme. I initially asked, roughly, because, how long's a piece of string? It depends how quickly I put the weight on to get to the BMI of 20. So my nurse did a few calculations, and if I keep progressing at the rate of, if I keep increasing weight at the rate I am, which is roughly between 0.8 to 1 kilogram a week, I should reach my BMI of 20 by early December. And then I have to maintain that weight for a minimum of 8 weeks here on the ward. But they usually don't even allow 8 weeks. They usually ask you to do between 16 and 24, which would really give me a rough discharge date of the first or second week in March. So when she told me that, I kind of went, oh, okay. And inside I was freaking out, because I thought, oh my God, And I've been really struggling the past few days with just emotions. I'm getting really snappy and irritated a lot, and just feeling really down. And when you go on holiday and you get to a point of thinking, right, I'm kind of ready to go home now. I've enjoyed it, but, I'm ready to go home. Well, I've been feeling that for the past 3-4 days, but I can't go home, and it's just very, very frustrating. And it's blaming it on puberty. It's a good excuse, let's be honest. So that is a rough discharge date that I'm looking at. So I'm going to be in here for a very long time, basically, which is hard for me to deal with. It's hard for my friends, my friends and family, especially like people like Woody and things. It's really, really difficult. I'm going to miss out on a lot of things. I can't go skiing. Christmas, I'll probably be allowed home for the day. Maybe not overnight. It depends. So that's a concern in itself. But really, this is at times like this when I really do need to just look at the bigger picture and think that if I'm in here for 6 or 7 months compared to the rest of my life, it's nothing. If it can give me a life of health and, freedom, essentially. I mean, the full recovery program is like a one-shot deal. If you don't get better from doing it, then you've kind of had it, really. And it's not to say that you won't go home feeling 100% better and you won't ever have any worries or problems again. That would be unrealistic. I will still have a couple of issues, but for the most part I will be a whole lot better, feeling much happier and healthier and, content, basically. And I'll be able to achieve the things that I want to achieve, like going out for a meal and not stressing about it, or going and doing a weekly shop and not spending hours wondering what the hell I'm going to buy. So I have my first full recovery group meeting today. So as part of the full recovery, I have a couple more groups a week to go to, which is good, but kind of impacts a bit on visiting times, which is a bit annoying, but hey ho. I had a meeting with one of my nurses today to discuss my hours out. She said, well, maybe we can look next week at giving you an hour out in the grounds. In the grounds? What's right? It's at the hospital. What is there to see or do? Nothing. And maybe next week, the week after, we can look at 2 hours. And so that's going to be a really slow process in itself just to get my hours out. So I'm just really, really frustrated at the minute. I'm working on it by sort of writing down, you know, moments when I feel really like pissed off or annoyed with something, and writing down why and then how I can change that, and, you know, basically work your mind through it. But even just certain people are just really frustrating me at the minute. I can't bear it, like just saying stupid things, and I won't go into it because it's pointless and it'll just annoy me even more, but I'm just finding it very difficult to keep a level head. As some of my family members will know. Sorry for hanging up on you, Dad. But it was really good to see, for my dad and Woody to come to the meeting yesterday, because they got to ask a few questions that had been running through their minds, and, you know, so everyone's kind of more or less on the same page. Yeah, so that's the big update. We have new patients arriving today, tomorrow and Thursday, so that's going to be a massive change. So I'll do a video on that. And also, by request, I suppose, doing a video at some point on sort of the helpful things that people can say, and then also the unhelpful things that people can say to you. So I'll be doing that, so I'll have a good think. But I'll probably leave it there. I hope you all had a good weekend. My hair's going a bit faded, which is annoying. I need a shower. So yeah, I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.